Hello, hello, luminary. I know you are feeling it. One of the biggest transits of the year, the meetup of the two sky gods, Jupiter and Uranus, on 420. So today I want to talk about what this means in the world and what this means in your work and business.
Welcome to Star Powered Astrology for Changemakers. I'm Leslie Tagorda, your guide, a Hawaii-born Filipino Jewish astrologer who loves navigating visionaries like you through the spiritual journey of your work so that you can be inspired to lead by your chart and become the luminary leader you were born to be.
All right, welcome back, Luminary. It's Leslie Tagorda, your brand and business astrologer. And today we are talking about the Jupiter and Uranus conjunction. Now, I'm recording this on Monday, April 15th. And so already Jupiter and Uranus are in orb, meaning that they are already in conjunction, so close to each other, but they peak at 4:20, 7:27 p.m. and meet up at Taurus of 21 degrees. Now, if you've been following me for a while, at least from the beginning of 2024, you've been hearing me talk about all of these spring transits that are all opening up, just kind of one step up, one step up, one step up, asking us to up level, open up, get out of our comfort zones, face our fears. This is one of those transits, one of the big transits that I've been looking at, and a new cycle of progress that is now available to all of us. Now, if you are like me, you are pretty much exhausted with all of this up leveling. Yes, getting out of our comfort zone is not comfortable and it takes so much energy. We just finished that April eclipse, and these energies, these portals are still wide open for us. And now we're being asked to like jump through another one. Well, whew. So let's just take a breath and feel our feet rooted into Mother Earth. Because even though we have Jupiter, the planet of expansion and exceeding our own expectations, and Uranus, the planet of up leveling and revolutionizing and breakthrough, it's all up, 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 up. These two big expansion energies are here in the earthly realms of Taurus. And so Taurus reminds us that we are rooted firmly on terra firma, our place here on earth, to know and love and connect to those earthy values of Taurus. So before we take those steps, I really highly encourage us all to just feel our feet planted on the ground. Now, if you're driving, please, maybe pause and do this later. Or if you're walking and you're listening while you're walking, or you're listening while you're exercising, just pause for a moment and feel your feet, all of the four corners of your feet, from your big toe to your little toes to your heels, just planted on the earth. And remembering that you are a being, you are a creation of this Mother Earth, and we are connecting back to this Mother Earth in order to feel this expansion. We're connecting back to the Mother Earth so that we can feel the value of this place that allows us to thrive, whatever place you currently call home, wherever you are allowed to thrive, to connect back to the original roots from whence your ancestors came from, to remember those gifts, and then now to see this new path being illuminated for us by the sky gods, Jupiter and Uranus, so that we can remember that here on Earth, we are still walking this illuminated path. So let's take a nice deep breath and feel your feet connected to the center of the earth. Okay, I needed that as much for myself. Hopefully you needed that as well. Now, before we dive into the meaning of this Jupiter Uranus conjunction, we're going to be talking about the astrology of this Jupiter Uranus conjunction. And we're going to really be diving into not just the history of these Jupiter Uranus conjunctions so that we can understand what this energy might have available for us in this next cycle, but then we're also going to be talking about how to personalize this so that you can work with this powerful energy in your leadership, in your business, in your own change making work on a personal level. I'll be diving deep into a little bit of a longer kind of horoscope based on everybody's signs. But before we dive into that, I kind of wanted to do a little bit of some eclipse reflections because we are on just finished our eclipse only 1 week out from that powerful Aries eclipse that we had conjunct Chiron. Now, no matter where on earth you were to experience this eclipse, we all felt it. Now, my family and I, we decided to head to Arkansas in the middle of the United States. We decided to go there for a couple of reasons. We're like, okay, it's spring break for my son, so we were about to travel anyway. And we were deciding, well, maybe should go see our in-laws, see my husband's family. So we flew over to Tulsa in Oklahoma and spent a couple of days with my husband's dad so that my son could spend some time with his papa. And then we did a road trip down to Arkansas. Now, when we were looking at all of the places that we could go from either, all the way down to Mazatlan, we had a beautiful invitation to go to Mexico, all the way up to Ontario, and we had a bunch of friends going to Texas. There was just a bunch of places, all these opportunities to go. We were like, we're going to go choose Arkansas. But my husband was looking at the weather forecast. We also noted that in Arkansas, they were going to have like the greatest amount of totality, meaning where the moon was covering the sun. And so we found a place that was about 3 hours away from where we were staying in eastern Oklahoma. And we took this family road trip to Arkansas, aiming for this town called Russellville. So we made it without a hitch, which was like, incredible considering this is a Mercury retrograde. We made it to Russellville, Arkansas, where there was like this big festivity. NASA had set up some cameras, solar cameras there. They had this big booth because of the amount of totality. And NASA was betting on this place, Russellville, Arkansas, because of, just gambling on the weather and the amount of totality. So we made it to Russellville. We drove around a little bit and we settled on this park that was right off of the Arkansas River. There was a bunch of cars parked there and there was like this beautiful setup. So we decided, okay, we're going to go park our car there and go see the eclipse. And it was really so wonderful just being out in nature. We didn't know anybody, of course, in Arkansas. It was just the three of us. But everybody was in a kind of a party mood and people were chatting. And I was walking around and I heard this guy tell his car neighbors that he was from the San Francisco Bay Area. And I was like, hey, we're from San Francisco as well. And we're like, what are the chances? We are, representing the Bay Area in the middle of Arkansas. This person had drove, I don't know, like 3 days from Marin County, which is north of San Francisco, all the way to Arkansas. And then we were sitting there, my son and husband went down to the river to go play with rocks and like throw things into the river and just have fun. And I was just sitting there enjoying myself. And then this beautiful woman comes over and she's like, hello. So we started to strike up a conversation and come to find out she's also starting in her own intuitive spiritual kind of consult and business. And we were just kind of laughing at just like what were the coincidences that we would find two witchy people really into spirituality in the middle of Arkansas, which has like more churches than it does Starbucks. I mean, Arkansas is very very, very religious state, very, very red state. Here we have these like two witchy spiritual people that happen to find each other. And then so we connected, and I was like, oh, this felt so nice. But then, of course, we were there for the beautiful main event, which was that totality eclipse. And so we had our, our eclipse glasses, and we were watching the sun, watching the moon as it like chipped away and ate away pieces of the sun. And it was just incredible to see how the moon kind of chipped away at the UV rays and how things got so cool, and just the light, how it changed. It was like color was being erased from everything. Like we didn't have those yellows or those oranges. When it was finally near totality, how everything was like so dark, but 360, you could see this beautiful like horizon. Like if you think about like dusk or dawn, when the sun is rising on the eastern horizon, you see that like pink and golden light, or when you see the sunset on the western horizon, you see that yellowy, pinky orange. Instead of just being on one horizon or the next, there was like this 360 degree of dusk dawn, just these beautiful colors. And then right where we were standing, just all black and white. When it was finally totality, we got a whole 4 minutes, and you could look up at the sky and you saw just this deepest, blackest, this this dot in the middle of the sun, and the sun's rays, that corona, just it was just unbelievable. I can hardly even find words for it. But because this eclipse was also at a high solar activity, an 11-year high of solar activity, you could actually see these solar flares that were erupting out of the sun with your naked eye. And, I have 50-year-old eyes. My eyes are not that good, but you could see at the bottom right of the sun, there was like this spout of light coming, which we later found out was one of the giant solar flares that are about 3 times the size of the earth. And we could see it with our naked eye. And it was just incredible to feel like tactile, feel the change of like the sun's warmth and radiation, and how that kind of evaporated as the moon crossed by and was absorbing all of that, and how the light changed and how the temperature cooled. It was so visceral. And so the next day in my mastermind, we were doing I wanted to take people on this visualization, and we did this visualization where we were literally walking through that moon portal, connecting the moon, connecting to the sun in exact degree, and that sun then connecting many, many orbits past all the way to Chiron, and how we were just receiving this direct light of Chiron, sun, moon, to us here on Mother Earth, and really absorbing our mentorship, our leadership, that Chiron from our deepest wounds, wanting us to show up as that vulnerable leader. It was just absolutely incredible. And so while that event has passed, do know that we are still in that energy of Chiron and that eclipse, asking us to step into that new way of being. You already are that leader, that beautiful, compassionate, empathetic, vulnerable leader, because you've lived through all of your past challenges that have made you so much wiser. That is your contribution. Now, as we step from this eclipse into this next evolution with this Jupiter Uranus, there's just been these kind of this pathway, this lei, LEI, a Hawaiian lei, these stringing of these transits together that are just leading us on and on and on. Now, this is our kind of our big, our last kind of big evolutionary step up into a new energy. And then the rest of 2024, we're going to spend time integrating what all this means. So for now, I want to just invite you to open your heart up. And again, as we were doing that short little meditation at that beginning, just envisioning you have this new vantage point and you're going to be walking down your path. So let's talk about what that path is with this Jupiter-Uranus conjunction. Now, Jupiter, Uranus, they meet up about every 13 and a half, 14 years. And just like a new moon, when we have two planets or two energies that are meeting up, we are starting a new cycle. Now, Jupiter and Uranus, they are, from Greek and Roman mythology. Jupiter is Zeus, the thunder god, and then Uranus is, the sky god, lightning and space. And so both of these two energies, they are just big, massive energies. And when they come together, they spark a new cycle of growth, progress, revolution, and now in Taurus, in the earthly realms of Taurus. Now, I feel that Taurus energy, we've been having a lot of Taurus energy over the last few years. The lunar nodes are now in Aries and Libra, but before that they were in Taurus and Scorpio, with the North Node being in Taurus, of us really focusing and stepping into a collective consciousness of the environmental needs of Taurus. Of course, from a commerce perspective, the energetic and the investment and the values of Taurus, and that was a few years ago. And now with this Jupiter Uranus conjoining in Taurus, this is really like grounding in what we need to do collectively with our values, with valuing the earth, with valuing energy. Now, I mentioned that Jupiter and Uranus meet up once every 13 years or so, and they spark this new shift in progress. And because Jupiter is Jupiter and Uranus is Uranus, usually this progress is related to technology, it's related to anything energetic, so physics, energetics, not just like physics in terms of quantum physics and how we manage energy, but also the metaphysics, our intuition, our ability to manifest, our ability for our thoughts to create our destiny. Those energetics fall into the same thing. So metaphysics as well as physics fall into this Jupiter Uranus. Of course, because we're talking about the sky gods, anything related to space and aeronautic exploration, and of course, everything that's related to neuroscience, genetics, and of course, I mentioned technology. Now, remember that we're already in orb, and the exact meetup happens on April 20th, 2024. But it's not that at this exact cresting, everything is going to change, right? The energy has been building up like a wave building up. And as it peaks, that energy, that orb is going to be continuing for at least another month. Just like a new moon, where we have this new cycle of intention, that energy now stays with us for the next 13 years, when a new cycle between Jupiter and Taurus will be created. And so when we think about a new moon where the sun and the moon meet up, we create a new cycle of intention. So of course, when we have the Jupiter Uranus meeting up, we want to create another new cycle of intention, except this intention is not just for the next 6 months or the next year and a half with the sun and moon cycle, but this is now a new, larger meta cycle of meaning and purpose and expansion. That's the Jupiter part. And then awakening, change, and quantum leaping. That's the Uranus part. Now, when we look back at previous Jupiter Uranus conjunctions and in terms of what was happening on the world stage, meaning mundane astrology, this global understanding will give all of us an understanding about what kind of leaps are possible for us this time around. Remembering that every time Jupiter and Uranus has met in the past, there have been massive shifts, evolutionary leaps in terms of communications via electronics and technology, like computers, aerospace travel, genetics, physics, as well as metaphysics. And so, looking back, I want to kind of review some of our most recent meetups of Jupiter and Uranus. And I want you to go back to those years yourself and see if you can notice what shifted for you in those signs, in those areas, and notice what kinds of progress exceeding your own expectations of yourself. Okay, so we'll come back to 2024 because I want to talk about that more in depth. But if we just kind of take a look back, if we go back to the last meetup, this happened in about 2011. And this time there was like a kind of a 1, 2, 3 because the way of Jupiter and Uranus, when they were making their retrogrades, they met up a couple of times. In 2024, Jupiter is moving so fast right now, it's not going to retrograde and they're not going to meet up. So they're going to have just one meetup. But back in 2011, they were meeting up between Aries, the earliest degrees of Aries and the latest degrees of Pisces. Back in 2011, when we look at the technical progress, we had the first artificial organ transplants on our Siri, on our iPhones. If you're an iPhone Apple user, Siri was added. So remember, Siri is an AI technology. AI technology has existed for a long, long time, but that voice activation and being added to a consumer product, that is, one of those big jumps, adding Siri to the iPhone, even though Siri wasn't really that great back then. Back in 2011, the Aries Pisces meetup, the world population, we got to 7 billion. Now we're at 8 billion. The Kepler telescope that's out there in orbit on a satellite found an exoplanet in inhabitable zone, meaning an Earth-like planet that's in that Goldilocks zone that could support life as we know it here on Earth with water and the correct kind of climate. And here on Earth, there was a lot of journeying in deep sea journeying, where the discovery of an uncharted hydrothermal vents in that mid-Atlantic ridge. Now, Pisces also to me sometimes is a little bit of like artificial intelligence to me. So all of these things in that Aries Pisces meeting up. Another thing that happened in 2011 was that the American Psychology Association confirmed evidence of ESP. Okay, so American Psychology Association, one of those ivory tower, like whatever they say goes, like they have their research, they have their scientists, they have their methods. They're like, hey, metaphysics really exists. Now, for us here, we're like, yeah, of course it exists, but science now approved it. Of course, there were massive advances in electronics, medicine, genetics, climatology, and robotics, all in 2011. You can see how things were sparked, but then now they carry forward until this new revolution. When back in 1997, previous to that, we had Jupiter and Uranus meeting in Aquarius. And so in 1997, we had the successful cloning of a sheep. Steve Jobs returned to Apple. The IBM Deep Blue AI, again, we have more AI coming through, won that chess game against a chess master. And the Google .com domain was registered in 1997. If you can remember back to 1997, like that was just like the pre like internet, pre.com, the first .com. And that was like just such a massive spark, of course, in Aquarius, in Uranus's home sign. Then back before that was 1983 in Sagittarius. And so Sagittarius is also about the world. Sometimes the ninth house in Sagittarius is about the World Wide Web. And the ARP, the ARPANET, the protocol was what was originally being used to send information via computers that were connected to each other. Well, in 1983, that ARPANET protocol officially became the internet. Mario Brothers, the video games, was released, and the first official report of AIDS caused by HIV was being officially documented. Now, this was also a first time that there was a book that discerned there was different types of intelligence. 3D printing was patented, and back in Hawaii, Kilauea started erupting through 2018. 1983 all the way through 2018. And so Sagittarius, more expansions for the World Wide Web and bringing the world together, just like all of those things, all of those advances. In 1969, before that, I know I'm skipping some, we had Jupiter and Uranus met up in Libra, and we had the Apollo missions. We had the first presentations of quantum string theory. And back in 1969, remember I said in 1983 that protocol became the internet? Well, in 1969 was when the first messages on that ARPANET protocol were the messages were being sent between computers from different universities. That was already in 1969. And then in 1969, we had the first documented case of HIV and the AIDS in the US, but it was unknown what that virus was at the time, but that virus was documented. People were getting sick from that. First time it was documented was 1969. 1983 was when AIDS was known to be caused by HIV. Isn't that interesting? 1955, Jupiter and Uranus met in Cancer, the sign of home, the sign of family. We had very domestic things that were being created at that time. Velcro was created for the space race, but now look at how we use Velcro in our domestic life all the time for our shoes and for our jackets and things. The microwave was created for domestic use, and the wireless remote control was created in 1955. And then I'll just go back one more to 1941 when Jupiter and Uranus met the last time in Taurus. And so this was the invention of more automatic computers, the discovery of genetics and gene codes and DNA, and the aircraft technology and the weapons of mass destruction that was invented for World War II, all in 1941. And so we can look back to 1941 and that Jupiter Uranus meetup in Taurus and get some hints as to the pros and the cons, the challenges and the benefits that are happening again. There's a lot of energies that are coming forward with like Uranus eventually moving out of Taurus into Gemini, Neptune moving out of Pisces into Aries. There are some themes that we are going to be seeing coming back from that, terrible time in history. And so not to fearmonger us, but like, what can we do on an individual level to make sure that history does not repeat itself in that way? So, as we come back to 2024 with our Jupiter Uranus meeting up, we can now expect to see more things coming back with AI, or more evolutions in AI. It's already happening. AI is prevalent in everything, especially if you're running a business, you can use AI not only with ChatGPT and Bard for getting your questions, but everything from writing to creating your marketing to creating images. And just the AI is it can be such a beautiful tool, but like everything else, a tool can also be weaponized. So we'll have to see what happens with this new AI revolution. For me personally, I'm looking at Taurus. If Taurus is about commerce, Taurus is about our Mother Earth, Taurus is about how do we take care of our Mother Earth? Do we continue destroying it with war and climate change? Or do we start to really take care of Mother Earth, to see energy as commerce? So, on a global scale, in terms of energy as commerce, like the energy that it takes to run all of these AIs, it takes a ton of energy, electricity to run the servers and the GPUs that it takes to process the AI. We're going to see more and more energy and water becoming like money, so valuable that they become commerce. And so, how can we start to conserve and reserve and produce our own energy as individuals? Maybe it's time to start, collecting water. If you're still buying bottled water, I'm going to say that over and over again, do not buy bottled water. Sometimes you have no choice, but when you have a choice, if you're at home, getting a water filter, whatever you need to do, like, recognizing water, recognizing energy as your own commerce. So what can you do to protect those resources and invest in those resources for yourself, so that you're not having to give your money away to other places, to like Nestle? Like, don't buy water from Nestle. Like, Nestle is such a terrible corporation. Like, do not give them money. Okay. 2024, also with new biotech solutions, scientists are finding bacteria that can process all the plastics. How do we not purchase plastics? As I'm drinking water out of this reusable plastic container, I'm just like, all of the microplastics that are getting into us. So how can we protect our bodies? How can we protect Mother Earth? How can we see our own energy and capacity as something that is worth valuing, so that we're just not burning out through these different cycles of hustle, hustle, hustle? Whew, I know I'm just like going on and rambling, but I think you get the picture. So when we look at 2024 about just what on the global stage might be opening up for us, we can start to look at our own personal lives, our business lives, and see how you want to create your own level of expansion and breakthrough in your life, in your business. And this, of course, happens with your values and your resources and your inner sense of worthiness, because this is happening in Taurus. Now, of course, we could all use an upgrade there, especially as we start to notice like the business landscape changing. If you run an online business, you may have noticed how it's so much harder to not make that sale, but how it's harder where people are still spending money, but people are spending money on what's really truly important to them. And so what's truly important to you? What are you investing in? What do you value yourself? And so only you can determine that yourself and what you want to measure. Now, when we start later on, when we start to look at some of the personalizations, I want you to really understand how Taurus is being activated in your chart. So, when we think about what Taurus means in our life and in our work, Taurus ultimately means what we value. And if we are not living our life in alignment to our values, we are going to just be spreading our energy too thin. We're going to be wasting our energy, which essentially means wasting our money. It's just like it goes into this like vicious cycle. Also, like values in terms of like our own inner worthiness. If we don't value ourselves, if we don't value what we're offering, what we're doing, how much we love ourselves, we tend to give our power away, and we don't charge enough, or we're always doing things for others and giving and giving and giving without receiving. And so Taurus asks us on a personal level to understand, are we able to receive? Do we know our worth? Do we know what we value what we value? Are we investing in our values? And so to me, this comes into this like very, very, very deep personal level. Now, I have Taurus in the 12th house. So for me, it's very, very inner working. I've noticed with this eclipse, I've been doing so much of this spiritual inner work of all my ways that I've been like self-sabotaging, and how I've not really been voting for myself, which means that I haven't been valuing my own self. And I bring this back up because this really impacts so many different things in my own business that needs to be broken through and reopen. And so, if you've been kind of crumbling under the pressure of not enoughness or comparison, this cycle might be this breaking this cycle is probably what you've been dreaming about as you are being asked to grow and stretch your britches in all the right ways. To honor this expansion and breakthrough, I'd like to invite you to a free masterclass with me called Radiate, Activating the Luminary Within. We're going to be diving into the astrology of the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction and what that means where you want to exceed your expectations so that you can dive in to your luminary leadership. We'll be exploring that Taurus Jupiter Uranus conjunction, and we'll also be exploring Jupiter in your natal chart and how it wants you to exceed your own expectations so you can truly become the visionary leader you are born to be. This masterclass is absolutely free. I'll be doing some chart readings at the end. So if you want a chance at a mini chart reading, make sure you show up live. But if you can't make it live, of course, a replay will be available. Head on over to starpower.com/radiate and join me on Friday, April 19th, 2024 at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern for my free masterclass, Radiate. In this masterclass, of course, we're going to be talking about that big conjunction and how to expand in your star-powered luminary leadership. We'll be looking at 5 things that may be getting in your way, and we'll be looking at how Jupiter wants you to exceed your expectations so that you can tap into your highest potential. I'm really excited to bring this masterclass. If you've taken this masterclass before, we're going to be switching it up a little bit because we're going to be focusing this energy on this Jupiter-Uranus conjunction. And instead of just talking about the sun sign, we are going to be talking about your Jupiter sign. So please join me on Friday, April 19th. Replay is available. Head on over to starpower.com/radiate. Okay. So let's continue on our conversation about personalizing this expansion and breakthrough according to your values, your inner sense of worthiness. Now, I know we could all use an upgrade there. The thing to remember about this expansion, especially in Taurus, is to understand and recognize and claim what is of value to you. Only you can determine your own values. Now, to use this particular energy, this massive energy with intention that can span your next 13 years, I want you to imagine what you need to invest in. Investment means you're committing to your time and your attention to accelerate your own growth. That's that Jupiter and also Uranus and your value. Now, this is a perfect time to dream big and to take bold steps so that you can exceed your expectations, Jupiter, and break through, which means to liberate yourself where you might have been feeling stuck in place. Now, the sky gods are aligning so that you can invest in what is valuable to you, so that you can have lasting wins for big and revolutionary wisdom, for reclaiming and rematurating your connection to place, to Mother Earth, for her protection and for your survival, thriving. Now, I want you to remember that revolution isn't always about creating something new. Often it is returning to an old way and perceiving it in a new light. Now, sometimes I've been talking a lot about decolonization and seeing our indigenous stewards and how they are taking care of the land. So, yes, one way is to connect to the original stewards of the land that you currently live so that you are a welcomed guest, that you are taking care of the land. But another way is to return to your own indigenous roots. Go back as many generations as you need to. Notice what were your great grandparents, your great 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 grandparents? How were they taking care of the land? How were they taking care of their own health? What were the gifts that they were embodying? And can you start to recognize the value and the innovation of your own ancestors, of your own ancient technologies? And so, on a spiritual level, I want you to reconnect back to your own lineage and your own roots. Be sure that you are measuring your values and also in terms of not just your time, but your energetic capacity. You might need to rest more. So maybe, instead of, measuring how much money is in your bank, you might be measuring how much good sleep you got. You might be measuring how many days of happiness you had this week, or how many hours of true connection that you had with your family or your loved ones. And so we'll be going into that in a little bit about your personalizations. But what I want you to know is I want you to intentionally choose how you will expand and break through, how you will overcome obstacles and boldly go where you are destined to go. Because this Jupiter Uranus conjunction is showing you a new pathway. And this new pathway is asking you, what expectations are you open to exceeding? What revolutions within yourself are you open to igniting? And what value are you wanting to truly measure? Now, this is going to be potent, especially if you have a lot of fixed energy or a lot of earth signs. And when you look at your natal chart, if you have any planets that are in fixed signs, so fixed signs Taurus, Aquarius, Scorpio, and Leo, near that 21-degree mark, know that those energies are really being asked to to expand and break through. For me, my Mars is being aspected right now, and my energy fluctuations are just all over the place. I know I need to really rise up and get that under, not under control, but like really harness that. So I'm using this in a way instead of just like rambling and spreading my energy too thin. And then if you have Capricorn, Virgo, and Taurus, and you have earth signs in that same energy, just really feel into how you are being so supported right now by this expansion. What parts of you do you feel just open hearted and really willing to step into? So, for all of us, we are beginning to see things from a new vantage point. At this time, I want you to continue to break through and take big leaps. You are probably already really good at that because of all of this eclipse energy. I want you to also upgrade your finances and your resources for sustainable growth. And finances and resources for sustainable growth, it's like, what are you truly investing in? Are you investing in your education? Are you investing in your community and your people? Are you investing in your home and your land? Are you investing in your own nourishment, the food that you put into your body, the clean water that you are here to enjoy and have others also enjoy? I also want you to up level your ability to change and take flight. Uranus and Jupiter want you to fly. They want you to remember that you have wings so that you can make massive progress in yourself and massive progress in your community. Now, there's of course energies that you're meant to resist and to dismantle with this Jupiter Uranus conjunction. Remember that this Taurus energy is going to be reminiscent of 1941. And in 1941, there was some beautiful ways that where people were coming together, that people were bringing in new technologies, but there were some also really dark ways that people were, excluding others and not coming together. So I want you to really dismantle of this idea of keeping up with the status quo. I want you to do what is right. I want you to dismantle not investing in yourself. Now, even when finances seem uncertain, we all need to continue to invest in ourselves to walk in alignment. So invest in your values. Remember what you are measuring and make sure you are measuring what is valuable to you. Now, if you don't know what your values are, the sign on the second house cusp, you can always look to that. That will show you some of your values. Your Venus sign shows us some of your values. Your moon sign shows you what you need. So values are indicated in a lot of different places in your chart. So if you need help with discerning and limiting your values, you should have, no more than 5 main values. Otherwise, you're spreading yourself too thin. Okay. So make sure you are, discerning your values and investing in yourself according to those values. I want you to also dismantling old beliefs. Right? Whose beliefs are these that hold you back, that prevent change? These could be family beliefs, these could be cultural beliefs, these could be just like your own lived experience beliefs that you need to extract. Okay. And I want you to dismantle not protecting Mother Earth. Okay. Now, San Francisco, we have it very easy because we have recycling, we have access to clean water. We are so privileged here. But wherever you are, to just do your part with recycling, with not buying bottled water, with investing in corporations that share your value. Where you spend your money is also making sure that it's in alignment to your values. Okay, so big things for us to do at this time. So let's talk a little bit more deeply into personalizations for each zodiac sign. Now, lately on social media, people have been asking, how do I read these horoscopes? Okay, I want you to know that when you see online or like in a magazine and people are writing horoscopes, they are writing for your rising sign. Okay, they are not writing for your sun sign. They are writing for your rising sign. And so you can read it for your rising, you can read it for your sun sign, but know that it's truly written for your rising sign. Now, if you know where 21 degrees of Taurus activates, like which house contains 21 degrees of Taurus, I'm going to give you the house activations because this is going to be even more personalized. Because when people are writing for their rising signs, they're using whole sign houses. I don't use whole sign houses. I use Placidus and quadrant style houses. And so even the rising signs might be off by one if you have a late degree or a very early degree of rising sign. Okay, that if that went over your head, just forget what I said. But if you know, you know. Okay, so let's start those personalizations. For all of us, remember at the very beginning, I talked about a new path is being illuminated, and our feet are here walking down this path. And as we walk down this path, we see things from a new vantage point that we are expanding and breaking through. You can fully see this. Now, to see this and to walk this path, you need to invest. Invest in yourself, invest in your values. So if you're an Aries rising, or have your second house being activated by Taurus of 21 degrees, you need to invest in the value of your own inner worth. I want you to ask yourself, what is the gift you are truly giving and receiving? And are you able to give? And are you able to, more importantly, receive? I want you to notice where there might be blocks to this giving and this receiving. I want you to notice what you want to receive more of, and the thing that you want to receive more of, I want you to give more of, to start to open up that cycle of worthiness and growth. If you're a Taurus rising or have that first house being activated, you are here to invest in the value of your own leadership, your own personal self development. What appreciates when you invest in yourself? Maybe you want a new capsule wardrobe. Maybe you want a new brand for your business, a new brand look. Maybe you want to invest in how you can become more of yourself, knowing yourself so that you can truly become that leader that you want to be. Maybe you've been waiting to invest in an Astrobrand reading with me. That would be like an amazing way to invest in your own personal development and leadership. So, what appreciates when you invest in yourself, my Taurus friends? For us Gemini risings, if you have that 12th house being activated, to walk your path of expansion and breakthrough, you are here to invest in your value of philanthropy. This is absolutely about paying it forward. You are already so privileged. What do you already have that you can give forward? And what do you gain when you pay it forward? Now, again, measuring what's important. It's not always about, getting more money when you pay it forward, but sometimes it's just like, how do you feel on that spiritual level when you know that you're doing good in the world? How can you measure that? What are you gaining when you pay it forward? For Cancer risings, or if you have that 11th house being activated, to walk your path of expansion and breakthrough, I want you to be investing in the value of your culture making. What this means is that you are bringing people together over a shared culture, over a shared value. There's something that bigger than you, bigger than the individuals of the people that you're bringing together, that is being created. And what is that value of that culture of the people that you bring together? What kind of belonging are you creating? And what is growing from that belonging when you bring people together? I want you to recognize what you are creating and growing in terms of the culture that you are making when you bring people together. For my Leo rising friends, or if you have that 10th house being activated, To walk your path of expansion and breakthrough, you are here to invest in the value of your mission. And what I mean by your mission, it is what you are doing here and now to change the world. And to change the world, what is the value that you are creating by leading by example? If you are not walking your walk, talking your talk, and being and leading by example, by doing the things in yourself that you want to change in the world, if you are not sharing that visibly by leading by example, then you're not going to be able to change the world. So I want you to notice, what is that true value of you sharing and leading by example, of being that role model, enacting on your mission. So walk your talk, Leos. Okay, my Virgo friends, you are here to walk your path of expansion and breakthrough by investing in your purpose and in your vision. And what this means is that to cultivate your purpose is to open up your mind, to make sure that you have the experience and the education to really see that new purpose, to see that new philosophy. And so I want you to invest and notice what realizes, right? What comes to fruition when you contribute, when you continue to contribute to your higher learning. So continue with your education, continue opening up your mind so that you can walk your walk with your purpose. For my Libra friends, or if you have an eighth house activation, you are here to walk your path of expansion and breakthrough by investing in the value of your own self-trust. What do you gain when you trust yourself, right? Especially for the Libra, who people who have like strong Libra, making decisions based on what other people want of you, or what other people demand of you, or what other people, or what you want to give to other people because you don't want to ruffle your feathers, and how much trust, self-trust you give away. But this is about taking your power back and noticing what you gain when you make decisions from your own inner trust. Okay, so this is very much an inner game for you to invest in the power and that you gain, that inner truth and the inner strength and the inner power that you gain when you make decisions based on how you trust yourself. For my Scorpio friends, if you have Taurus of 21 degrees in the seventh house, to walk your path of expansion and breakthrough is to notice the value of your people, of your connections, of your partnerships. So to see how your own value is increased, your own worth is increased by understanding your people power, by understanding the value of those deepest, trusted, most committed relationships. Yes, Scorpio, I know it's hard for you to trust other people, but what is that true value that you can invest in on your most committed relationships? Now, for my Sagittarius risings, or if you have that sixth house being activated, this is about walking your path and investing in the value of your own wellness. Absolutely. You've heard before that true wealth is your health. Well, what appreciates when you are truly well? Your emotional well being, your physical well being, your spiritual well being. What truly grows? How much wealth do you have when you are whole? And even on a business aspect, you can see the wellness of your business or your leadership simply by just like the energy leaks that are not being managed. And so what appreciates when things are streamlined in both your physical, mental, and emotional health, as well as your business health? For my Capricorn friends, or if you have your fifth house being activated, this is one of those things like in Bhutan where they don't measure the gross domestic product, they measure the gross domestic happiness. To walk your path, you must invest in the value of your joy. and to learn what successes are you truly measuring. How do you measure your happiness? In Bhutan, they measure their connection to their family, their connection to their people, their relationships, their overall wellness and happiness. How can you measure that? Because that's when you're going to see your true success. For my Aquarius friends, or if you have your fourth house being activated, this is about finding your value and investing in your roots. So, oftentimes we think about intergenerational trauma and all the things that we want to let go of. But embedded and woven in with that trauma is also gifts. We have gifts from our ancestors. We have gifts from our places of origin. What are those gifts that you are here to recognize and reclaim and see the worthiness and the value of? How are you meant to reinvest in those roots, in your roots? And lastly, for my Pisces or my third house activations, to walk your path of expansion and breakthrough, you are here to invest in the value of your voice, to speak your truth, to express your needs, to be able to tell yourself the truth, and to share your voice as a thought leader. How does sharing your voice, how does expressing your truth, how does sharing your thought leadership and the way you think create value, not just for yourself, but create value in the world? Investing in your voice. Okay, my friends. So let me review really quickly. To walk your path, you must invest in the value of your Aries, worth; Taurus, leadership; Gemini, philanthropy; Cancer, culture making; Leo, mission; Virgo, purpose; Libra, trust; Scorpio, connections; Sagittarius, wellness; Capricorn, joy; Aquarius, roots; and Pisces, voice. All right, my friends, I know this was a long episode. Thank you for listening all the way to the end to get your forecast. Remember, this is a big time for all of us. And this Jupiter-Uranus conjunction in Taurus is asking you to see your values in a new light, to invest in your own expansion and breakthrough by walking your path, to invest in your own true values. All right, my friends. Last thing, remember, if you want to join me for a free masterclass and see what it's like to work with me and to learn astrology in the way that I see astrology for leadership, head on over to starpower.com/radiate. And I'm going to show you how you can open up and exceed your own expectations in your luminary leadership. All right, bye for now.
As a human design projector, my energy shines more brightly because of people like you who share my work. If you enjoy this podcast and want to help build a movement of innovative astrology and leadership and spark the intuitive revolution, please rate and review this podcast on Apple Podcasts, or better yet, share this podcast with your change-making besties. We will all shine brighter together as we create the future we want to see.